everybody. I'm really excited that you guys could make it today for one of our short sessions on tech integration here in the lower school. We're going to talk today a little bit about challenge-based learning, and I'm going to share some of the things I've been learning and working on with you guys. This is going to be a really short session for one of our PDs. We're going to do it in under about 20 minutes, and the idea is for you to leave here just understanding the basic framework to begin to sort of plant the seeds of how you could use challenge-based learning in your classroom. And the reason that I picked this topic to share with you today is that we know, based on a lot of research and sort of things that are like predicted for the future of the next couple of years, that 65% of kids, and this is entering grade school this year, this was from last year, so you know, the kids who are currently in our lower school are going to be working in jobs that don't exist today, which that means that we need to find ways to engage them differently so that they'll be prepared for those new jobs. So we're going to talk about this, thinking about what our kids need for the future. So what is challenge-based learning? Challenge-based learning was developed with Apple in conjunction with some teachers in the United States in about 2008. And the idea is it was part of a program that Apple used creating today's classrooms, the classrooms of tomorrow today, that was successful in the 80s, that now they were moving and kind of updating. Apple's been involved in education since its inception, so over 30 years experience developing tools for kids, technology, and not just the technology tool, but the pedagogy that goes along with it. So as you can see, challenge-based learning is based on a big idea. Now we can make some comparisons here with our PYP program and kind of our big ideas, our overarching ideas, some of that. So this should sound familiar to you if you look at it through that lens as well. We're going to take a big idea and we're going to come up with essential questions for this big idea. There's going to be a challenge, and then there are going to be guiding activities, guiding questions, guiding resources. Now this section is kind of, more of like the green. This is where teachers are serving as a guide that helps teachers along, that helps students along. We're looking for a solution that's actionable, and we're going to continually assess this, and students are actually going to publish their work. So no more trash can worksheets, trash can work. We're going to be actually doing things that's going to be published and have an authentic audience with authentic feedback. So challenge-based learning is engaging and multidisciplinary, and it's used to solve real-world problems. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story, a personal story about my family. This picture that you see here, this is one of my daughters, my other daughter there, and some nieces. And what happened is I live in Mexico City. I'm from the United States. My sister-in-law is from Switzerland, also lives in Mexico City. And so in the summers, I spend my summer in the United States, she spends her summer in Switzerland. And the cousins were one day sitting around at a family lunch on a Sunday saying, we want more spending money when we go away next summer. These are the things we bought with our spending money this year. We want to have a little bit more next year, and this was in August. And they sat down, and their real-world problem, this is not a giant real-world problem, but just to give you some context, was that they wanted more spending money for going to their grandparents the next year. So they decided that they also wanted more space in their bedrooms and wanted to clean things out. They began to host garage sales every weekend at their grandparents' house. So they would open up the garage at their grandparents' house every Sunday when the adults were eating lunch. The kids would get to work at their store. They tried a lot of names, they came up with a lot of things, but I wanted to talk about their process a little bit and kind of relate that to the idea of challenge-based learning. So their big idea, their challenge, was to make some extra money. Okay. And then some interesting things started coming up. The store, you probably can't read it up at the top, but it says Tiendas Primas. So in the very beginning, because they were cousins, because it was a shop, they came up with the idea of Tiendas Primas. After a couple weeks, they realized they liked the idea of Tiendas, of Prima shop better. They thought that would be kind of more concise, better marketing, so they changed that. They used pages and numbers and their iPads to design their PR information so that they could also manage the money, keep an updated budget every week. So they were using these tools that they already had on their iPad. They discovered themselves, they figured out what they wanted to use it for. And that's kind of, I'm going to be referring back to this project a little bit as I give you concrete examples of how you could use challenge-based learning in your classroom. Okay. So as we talked about, it encourages students to leverage the technology they already had. My daughters and their cousins already had iPads, so they started investigating how they could use the iPads to do what they wanted, to create advertising, to manage their money, and to also look for, they would use Safari a lot, to look for prices of things in the current market so that they could see if the price they were offering the used item for was fair or not. One of the things that I think was quite interesting is as we would be out and around in town and some at markets and things, they began to notice that people would charge using the cube with an iPad or an iPhone. And it was interesting because some of the neighbors in the neighborhood where they were selling started saying, I don't have cash, couldn't I use a debit card or a credit card? So the kids began to research if they could do that, if it was cost effective, what they would need to do to buy the device to do that with. So again, kids with authentic learning, authentic purpose, and an authentic goal. Thinking of that, let's talk about a little bit of challenge-based learning is collaborative and hands-on. So I think oftentimes in the classroom, modern classrooms still, unfortunately, teachers are standing up in front giving information, kids are regurgitating that information. But what we want are kids, teachers, adults, everybody in the community working together. We want things to be hands-on. My goal at my school is to create an entire learning environment on all parts of our campus. So where could you look on your own campus in challenge-based learning for problems that need solutions? Our campus has tons of green space and tons of gardens that aren't being utilized. So a big overarching question is how could we use the garden space on our campus to create healthier food for our cafeteria, perhaps. You know, those are things that we could work on here at school. But always keeping in mind collaborative and hands-on, and adults and children working together side by side. We need to think about having kids asking experts outside of the community as well. So another thing I thought about here at our school is how could we tap into finding experts from our community using a database we already have on campus of from the admissions department. So how do we begin to look at parts on our campus, then we could say, okay, admissions, share your database with us so that we can find the experts we need to support these authentic learning projects on our campus. We want kids to begin to not just find good answers, but also to have good questions. So all of this is built into our techniques and the support we as teachers are going to give them. I think sometimes we feel like using technology, like giving kids more power, makes us as teachers less valuable. But I think it actually asks all of us to up our skills and to help kids think of better questions, better strategies, and so they can come up with better solutions. We want kids to have a very deep subject area knowledge. So going back to thinking about and accepting and solving challenges, thinking about the project that I just showed you of Prima Shop, they went very deeply in understanding pricing, marketing strategies. They began to, my kids and my nieces began to look at stores throughout the city, and it was interesting to see how they would copy the ways that the clothing was displayed when they're selling used clothing, or if it was something technology related, they might set it up and actually have it working to do a demonstration for the neighbors who came back. So how do we get kids to accept the challenge and then take action? You know, it was one thing for them in this case to say, we want more money to go in the summer, but it was another thing for them to actually do something about it. And we empowered them to have their shop, to make the money, to have the resources they needed. Another important piece of this is actually sharing an experience. So my daughter started working on a blog, and she would share things that had happened in Prima Shop and mistakes they had made, so that if other kids were following along, they could have impact as well, be impacted as well. So I've shared a little bit with you guys, I think, just to put that seed, as I mentioned, into your mind about how we can begin to think about things differently, look at things differently. This session, as I said, is meant to give you some ideas, and as we continue to work on the idea of challenge-based learning, we're going to be looking for how we translate that from just ideas to learning in the classroom. As I said, one of the things I'm really passionate about working with at our school is how do we turn every nook and cranny into a learning lab here? How do we utilize the gardens? How could we perhaps have a big overarching question of saving money at the school, lowering budget to put in better playground equipment, something like that. Maybe we could have kids monitoring monthly electricity use and then developing a campaign to lower that, or recycling, something like that. These are fairly local issues, but the questions could be devised for them to become more universally important questions. So let's look at that. This is a graphic from challenge-based learning, and it's really interesting. At the center are always the learners. So we're always going to take it back to our students, to the kids here at our school. Kind of, if you, again, paralleling to what we're already doing here with IB of where we are in place and time, who we are, who are our kids, what are we doing here? And then we're going to extend that realm, that circle, to our learning community. So that means that we should have all teachers on board. We need to train and work with and talk to the gardeners at our school to give just-in-time information when a kid is excited about a fruit tree on the playground. You know, those folks can also be supporting this love of learning on our campus. How can they talk to children? How can they engage children? How can they support the kids asking big questions? Now, the purple ring is really interesting, the 21st century skills and content area knowledge. When we get into there, we're going to be talking about in future sessions the SAMR model of how we're going to be using specific technology tools. And we're also going to be talking about in future sessions bringing in the TPAC model. So how we're going to use technology and pedagogy with content knowledge to make these units very strong. As I said, we're having these mini sessions over kind of our P professional learning development time in the next couple weeks. But we're going to be building upon these ideas and seeing how these pieces fit together. Taking all of that back to what we talked about the first part of the session, that we know kids are going to need different skills. They're going to need to be collaborators, communicators, worried about thinking about universal issues. So that's going to all come into this realm. Again, we're going to start with a big idea. We're going to create an essential question to stimulate kids' interest in that. And then we're going to develop a challenge, something to do. A very simplistic level, Prima Shop was to get more money to spend in the summer. But we're going to be looking at big things. You know, how do we improve recycling on our campus? How do we support the neighborhood around us, that those students in this area aren't as fortunate as us? Things like that, bigger ideas. We're going to, as teachers, really work hard on creating fantastic guiding questions to guide students in their investigations. And what kinds of activities and resources can we do that are going to motivate them, that are going to ignite their passion? Kids are going to, as they are using these guiding questions, as they're researching, as they're building their knowledge, they're going to come up with a solution to this big idea, this problem, this essential question, and they're going to implement it. But it doesn't just stop there. It's not a one-time implementation. It is, how do I iterate? How do I test this theory? How do I try it, get feedback from my teacher, from other adults, from experts in the community, and continue to make this better? And the evaluation can come from real authentic publications and finding out if this solution actually worked. Okay? We're going to have assessment that informs, so thinking in formative assessment the whole time. We're going to continue to give them the formative assessment, and we're going to be documenting and publishing what we do and reflecting in our class meetings on this. So as you are going forward after the session and the next couple days before our follow-up session, I want you to begin to think about, where are we in the world? Where are we? What can we do? What do we have around us? What things are important to us? Is traffic patterns in Mexico City something that's important to our kids right here? Are finding alternatives to riding, in a car to school? How does the fact that we have mandatory busing impact our entire city, and if we can show how it impacts our city, could we encourage other schools to do the same thing, and what impact would that